Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is indeed a privilege for me to participate in such an outstanding conference on mobility, data analysis, and also the implications of the consequences which we seek to achieve in the course of this interaction. The Honorable Prime Minister today laid the foundation of this great conference in words which are very prophetic. Mobility is the initial stage of internet. What we speak about mobility today, it was what internet was in initial stage. And if we want to have an optimum outcome of this interaction, it is very important that there must be a blend between the digital infrastructure and mobility. And in my very considered view, data is the enabler which will help blend the ecosystem between digital infrastructure and mobility. Digital ecosystem has the uncanny habit of leaving the footprint of its data. By its very nature, the digital world is a borderless world. It is not caged by geography or limitations of countries. It travels faster and becomes a global medium on its own logic. In India, we realized the worth of data very early when we laid the great program of Digital India. Why it is important that when, under the direction of Honorable the Prime Minister, we laid the foundations of Digital India, our view was very clear. We articulated certain philosophical constructs of Digital India, whereby we articulated, by Digital India, we wish to bridge the digital divide. By Digital India, we mean common Indians must be empowered with the power of technology. And by Digital India, we meant we wish to bring in digital inclusion based upon technology which is low cost, developmental, and also inclusive. This inclusive emphasis is at the core of Digital India program, and whereby, while acknowledging the power of technology, we have also highlighted the social construct which inclusion entails. Hardly a week ago, I had gone to Argentina in the G20 Ministers Meet, G20 meet, and thereafter I visited California in the Silicon Valley. And what impressed me most, that India's digital story of inclusion is now finding global resonance. Because if we have to bring in digital technology as a tool for empowerment and development, it cannot happen but with inclusion. Mobility of data, and to get the benefits of data analytics. The Indian experiment, I am very sure, which I am going to unfold, will be of great benefit in properly articulating and also harnessing the benefit of data analysis for common social good as we all conceive. The focus of my presentation today will not entirely be related to transport. Transport is important, mobility is important. But do we confine mobility only in the conventional sense of movement of transport and the architecture and infrastructure connected thereto, or we have to travel beyond? In my very considered view, as the Prime Minister has given us the vision over the years, that we have to use technology for empowerment, for transformation, and above all, empowerment of ordinary Indians. How we juxtapose data analysis in the larger construct is an issue which requires debate and discussions both. I think the digital profile of India is too well known to you. In a population of 1.3 billion, 130 crore, India is home to only 1.21 billion, 121 crore mobile phones only, and close to about 450 million smartphones, nearly 45 crores. The biggest generator of data in contemporary India is the digital initiative of Aadhaar. 1.22 billion Indians today on Aadhaar. And how we are bringing in digital inclusion can be appreciated for the simple technology which we have used by opening 332 million bank accounts, 32 crore of the poor, blending it with Aadhaar and mobile phone, and directly transferring bank account to the poor of their welfare entitlement, and we have saved close to 90,000 crores, almost 14 billion by direct benefit transfer. Our programs like digital infrastructure of connecting 220,000 gram panchayats by optical fiber network, e-governance, e-scholarship, digital payment and digital banking, e-visa, soil health card, and a host of other digital delivery of service products are generating millions of data. But what is happening is they are empowering and also improving governance. In this light, how do we foresee the march of data analysis, the big data? India today, and remember one thing, what is extraordinary of India's digital movement is that this social construct and social focus has blended very well with the larger narrative of the great achievement of India's IT companies. I hope you're aware the revenue of India's IT company having a footprint in 200 cities of 80 countries today is $168 billion, rising from close to $120 billion plus in the last 4 years. The export has also risen to $125 billion, rising from close to $105 billion 3.5 years ago. Therefore, India's conventional IT profile is working very well. But what is important is the new transformative exercise we have undertaken. In this light, how do we see data? Obviously, billions of data will be generated. Here also, what my department is doing, I'll be saying something a little about on the concluding part, and Secretary Ajay Sani will supplement it further thereafter. But we in India firmly hold, again in a philosophical construct, that India being a democracy, the sanctity of data is important, and the use of data is also important. And therefore, while we are very proactive in the use of data analysis, and I am very clear as the IT Minister of India that India must become a big center of data analysis. Data analytic is the great focus. India has the human resource, the capability, the capacity to unleash that. And that we are working our own way. But this must blend with the sanctity of data. This must blend with the rights of the owner of the data. How do you go about it? That's a larger question. The Supreme Court was dealing with the right of privacy, and it has given a very historic judgment that right to privacy flows from fundamental right. But the Supreme Court also rightly held that innovation cannot be curbed under the garb of privacy. And the Supreme Court has given a big leg up to the whole plea of innovation, which we have been ourselves pursuing in a very, very important way. As regards data privacy laws are concerned, we set up a committee headed by Justice Sri Krishna, a very eminent Supreme Court retired judge. He has given the recommendations, and we are going with the stakeholder consultations. All of you can also join. But I have been articulating a particular point of view, and I am very strong about it, that we need to have a blend, a balance. And what is the balance? Of data availability, of data utility, of data innovation, of data anonymity and data privacy. Let me repeat this formulation again. Data availability, data utility, data innovation, data anonymity and data privacy. That's how we need to work about. And therefore, the government needs to have the data to formulate a policy, a proper policy. To have a robust economic policy, policy related to mobility. But that data can be anonymized so that those whose data is subject to government use or public use may not be known as to who are the owners of this data. The second, and therefore we have come with a program where we are releasing data available, government data, anonymized for research for cyber security, for agriculture, for the purposes of healthcare. I know the new models of mobility will also need this data, maybe from management of weather, maybe data for farmers, maybe more information for new cropping pattern, technologically advanced agriculture, for new form of digital instrument to augment e-health, e-education. All these will come in the larger narrative of mobility of data to help transform the society. These are our areas of focus. Certain issues I would like to flag here also. Data analysis is going to become big business in India. I saw a report, this big data analytics is going to be, it is presently at $2.3 billion, is likely to grow at a healthy rate of 23.8% CAGR in the coming years. And most important is that this whole industry may become double by 2020, with around 24% being the attribute to big data itself. Therefore, data is also good commerce, and that is a sign of India. And when I have talked of India's digital economy to be propelled to a $1 trillion economy, and when I talk of digital economy, I mean obviously conventional IT and communication, I mean e-commerce rising in India, I mean electronic manufacturing rising in India. I hope many of you may be aware that India had just 2 mobile factories when we came to power. Now today we have 127 mobile factories manufacturing mobile in India, and India is becoming a big center of mobile manufacturing. Small cyber security solutions, application of new technology, and obviously big data, digital payment. All these are going to drive Indian economy to a safe $1 trillion economy in the coming 3 to 5 years, where we are working at. Therefore, yes, the startup movement, India today is the 3rd biggest startup ecosystem in the world. In this light, big data and the mobility of data is going to become a very, very lucrative commerce also, I would like to emphasize. But yes, this has to be done with certain well-defined principles. And this has to be done with certain by adherence to certain well-defined standards also. And what are those? I would like to gently flag that, because the first and foremost would be, and this will be also give rise to a lot of competing interests, ladies and gentlemen, the speed of data collection. Because this huge data is being collected, the speed with which they are collected is going to be an area of great interest. The diversity of data collected. India is a land of 130 crore, 1.3 billion people. And the sheer diversity of collection of the data will become a big enabler. The third, the volume of data collected. Because these are some of the shades of big data analysis which I think would be relevant when we talk about it. The power of big data lies in its volume. One who generates big volume would be the winner. But this acquisition of big data should also be with principles which are fair and transparent. I hope you need to know that we in India have been articulating certain well-defined principles to properly impact the digital discourse of the world. We always said we did not go into the whole debate of net neutrality. We said a right of access to internet is not negotiable. You may have seen we have been very strict on certain measures. India is free to do business for you, but certain norms will have to be followed. On the whole issue of free movement of data also, we have been quite open. That movement of data is integral, but the sanctity of individual has to be respected. In a similar way, acquisition, yes, and fourthly, the most important, you cannot abuse data to impact free choice in India. That we have also flagged very, very clearly. Some of our actions may have been known to you. In this light, volume acquisition of data is important, big volume is important, but that acquisition must be through means which is fair and transparent. And then, how does it help us to finalize the whole initiative? Availability and acquisition of data which are robust, which are trustworthy, enable the policymakers to make policy as to what people want and in what manner they want. And ultimately, how it can help in creating a centralized data system which can be used by government and non-government agencies to further fine-tune their policies. I think these are some of the, yes, and one thing more. A data validated by the government carries its own sanctity, because a validated data becomes the authentic foundation for further follow-up and policy initiatives. These, I think, ladies and gentlemen, are some of the issues which would arise when we talk of data analytic and mobility. And while conventional mobility of transport, connectivity, availability would always be there because they are very important. But I see a larger pool of mobility required from weather management to information management, for creating new infrastructure for farmers, for creating avenues for opening of new educational institutions, and most important, new paradigm in healthcare. These are the initiatives which are required to help mobility of data become an important tool, as to what the Honorable Prime Minister said, blending the internet infrastructure with mobility. What we are doing in our own department. First of all, we have set up 4 separate committees to examine the best practices of data analysis. Academia, institutions, they are working together. Then we are going to set up a National Center for Artificial Intelligence. And then we have a sponsored Center of Excellence, about 7 in the country in various fields, including in data analysis. Skill sets we are making available too. And our TIDE, Technology Incubation and Development of Entrepreneurs Scheme, is facilitating innovation and research in domain through 29 existing incubation centers. Now, I have to make a last comment. And the last comment is where my role as an IT minister and my role as a law minister takes on the role at times conflicting, at times coordinating. And the most interesting comment I heard in my recent visit to the Silicon Valley, it is good that the Prime Minister has given you both the portfolios, because now the inexorable logic of data proliferation in the whole world, the right of privacy, the ethics of new technology are also impinging upon regulation. And how do you blend the both? Yes, artificial cars are most important. Why not? We must properly take care of them. But one question has baffled me always, and this I asked also in Silicon Valley, that if a driverless car causes the accident, who is responsible? Perhaps the last word we haven't heard. And therefore, When we talk of data analysis, when we talk of new technology, when we talk of machine learning, artificial intelligence, the ethical aspect is equally important. The ethics of new technology. And I think the companies in India, I'm very happy that large number of digital companies dealing with data issues from abroad in India are doing well in India, because India is a happening place as far as the digital space is concerned. Surely, big volume is required to propel AI to work effectively. I know that. Big data is necessary for machine to learn quickly and give results. But in the process of all this, if certain ethical issues arise, I'm sure the companies need to apply their mind so that this great invention of human mind is available for the use of the society in general. Ladies and gentlemen, I have always articulated one view in particular. Internet is one of the finest creations of human mind. It should not remain the monopoly of few. And if internet is to become truly global, it must have linkage with the local ideas, local views, local heritage. And when these two blend, ultimately internet also becomes inclusive and truly global. And I'm happy when the internet governance issue rose and when India pitched for a multi-stakeholder model. What was the need for the pitch? Internet has grown because of academia, because of industry, because of trade, because of NGOs, because of civil society, and also the government. And if internet is to be safe and secure, government's role is very, very important. I think the same principle will have to be incorporated in some measure when we talk of big data analytic. These principles of coordination, of understanding, with principles which are fair and just, will have to be incorporated so that data availability really become a shining moment to further propel mobility, because a mobile world is the buzzword of the contemporary. And yes, there are no limits of technology. Whenever I ask tech giants that can you predict me as to what is going to be the future of this technology, they always say it is changing so fast with such a pace that we don't know. So we have to work together, but work with determination to bring about real development for the whole world. Thank you. This is how I say it.